There isn't really a bi community. It's as if you're identified either as straight or, for a woman, lesbian, depending on your partner. So it almost negates the person that you are.
In the setting of the church I grew up in, sexuality was not discussed, other than, you know, God made Adam and Eve and not Adam and Steve.
And I think, again, it comes down to sex. It comes down to sex. And they think that we're just having lots of it and with multiple partners, and that's just not the case.
I didn't know that everybody wasn't bisexual until I was in my 30s. So it wasn't really coming to terms with my own bisexuality, because that's always who I was. I just looked around and thought, wow, all these people aren't bi. How strange. We're here at Kennedy Middle School in Redwood City, and it's a 6th, 7th, and 8th grade school. I've been here 5 years. I'm on a special education team teaching a special day class. Students have a lot of questions. They want to know, when did I know? How did I know? What's it like? And how would they know if they were? They ask a lot of questions, and I answer them. My principal is not supportive of me being vocally out. And we did have some confrontations over it, and that he asked me not to tell. And I told him I would always tell, anytime I could. And that in the same way that he had pictures of his family on his desk, so would I. I could lose my job, but it's not a reason not to be bold. It's not a reason not to be a truth teller. Students that are gay, lesbian, bi, or trans feel that they're alone. And I don't want my students to feel alone. I want them to be able to say, well, at least I know one. And I think that it puts it out of the realm of gossip and rumor and judgment and ridicule, that they can know somebody. Both my children have run into trouble around my sexuality. When Bjorn came here in summer school, he immediately heard children saying, oh, look, it's the boy whose mother is gay. And he said he didn't know how to respond. So we had some long discussions about that and what to say and what to do. I do worry because children are hurt all the time and children are ridiculed all the time. I told him he could always ignore it and then it probably wouldn't stop, or he could respond in some way. He doesn't seem to be getting it anymore, and he seems to be able to hold his own individual self, okay? Not everybody can be out, be bi, not everybody can be out, be gay, lesbian, but I can, and so I do it with a boldness that chances are I learned from that experience in Claremont. My husband was going to school in Claremont, and there's an opening at a church for a minister of Christian education and director of their infant center and preschool, and I applied for that job and got the job, I was very excited. Christian education was really where I wanted to be. I was asked to resign as a result of a clergy person telling one of the families of some of the youth group children that I was gay. I was called before the Board of Christian Education and the trustees and the search committee, all these people around this table. And it was as if the whole congregation of people that I had been working for and taking care of their children and ministering to their children had just turned their back on me. That once this came up, that they were concerned that I might be gay, there was no more talking, there was not even looking at me. And to have, hundreds of people just suddenly turn away from you like that, I lost my faith in the institutional church. It took me almost a decade to come back to the church and trust it again. With the boys, it's not ever been anything that they didn't know, because I've been outspoken. And so I could say, I am bi, but I am with your dad and I am with a man. When we divorced, there was a lot of questions about that, and they asked, is that why? And it didn't really have anything to do with it. There was one point during the whole divorce where he said, well, why don't you be a lesbian? Then that could be the reason for our divorce and everything would be fine. But I'm not. I never was, never will be. I tried it for about 30 days, but it doesn't, about thinking about women only, but that doesn't work. It's just not the way I am. I've never been happier in my life. And Mary Ellen it's amazing, it's a lot of that. Mary Ellen and I dated for a year, then she moved here to be with me, and then we were just married.
We had a lot of the same sensitivities, we had a lot of the same dreams, we have things that we really care about, which number one, I think, for both of us is family.
Mm-hmm. We were a family, the three of us, but since Mary Ellen has come, we're really a family. We're just a tight-knit little unit. It was as if there was something missing and we didn't know it. And now that she's here, it was the last clasp that holds us all together. Even though I'm in a long-term committed relationship with a woman, I still consider myself bisexual. That's one of the differences that I noticed with Mary Ellen, is that she was absolutely fine with that. And I had not met anybody in the lesbian community before her that was fine with it.
The trouble with being a lesbian in a lesbian community is that a woman who is with you is assumed to be a lesbian. I think up until right before the wedding that there were still people who thought I was making a mistake.
There's all these people that were with men and then women, men and then women, and oh, they're confused. It's not that they're bi. How easy would that be?
I think a lot of women who consider themselves lesbians, who were married for 25 years and have 6 children, or have been in 3 marriages and have had all these things, all of a sudden you're 40 years old and you say, oh, that's it, I'm a lesbian. I don't think so. I think that people, if they really thought about it and they accepted themselves and who they were, that a lot more people would admit to themselves that they're bisexual.
I don't think that we have a judgmental God. I think it's the humanness that's really the judgmental part. And I have found places, not in every church, but I found places where I'm comfortable, and I found a home in the United Church of Christ. And I feel that I can just be who I am.
What is it that says that sex is that important to God anyway? Did it mean that I didn't love God because I slept with men or with women? Or that I slept with anybody? Or that I masturbated or, you know, or, no. What can be my witness, and the strongest witness is my life. Probably one of the greatest witnesses and the greatest joys for me has been when I have been able to help process with folk their sexual orientation journey, where they couldn't talk about it before. Now they could have at least one black clergy person. In the context of the black community, we don't talk about sex, let alone all these variations. And so I think it's my job, and people like me, it's our job to be in the mix, pushing the envelope, asking the hard questions, saying, I love Jesus too, but this is also who I am. Galatians was not written to me or anybody in this room. Paul wrote it to the Galatians. It didn't have me included in it at all. A black man in America. Yet I find some truth in it and value. Yet I gotta guard, I gotta watch and guard how literal I'm taking that.
Our denomination is and was and still is very disdainful of any lifestyle other than what they call normal lifestyle.
My dad came right out and asked me, are you gay? Do you like men? I said, yeah, but I like women too. And we started to try to figure out what that meant. And what did God have to say about it?
I am for abstinence when you are not married. No sex with nobody.
That's a pretty conservative theology around sex. His own experience, his ministry experience, tells him that there's probably something else to it.
Some years ago, women were not allowed to teach in churches. Now it's commonplace. And the Bible has not changed, that's the people have changed. And so I think at some point probably more and more people will give vent to that there are other lifestyles. I don't know if I'll ever be one of them.
We see the world in dualisms. It's male or female, bad or good, right and wrong. I think what bisexuals and bisexuality suggests is that there's a whole bunch of gray in the middle. Zezo House. My role with Zezo House is as the care coordinator or facilitator. The typical resident here is HIV positive, in need of permanent housing, probably battling substance abuse and mental health issues. Since I'm a clergy and a pastor, it's very obvious that I would have at least some role as a pastoral counselor or pastoral care person, being involved in their lives, checking and see how they're doing emotionally, psychologically, or spiritually in particular. Just wanted to come by. I think my sexual orientation identification, as I choose to talk about it, has much to do with what people deal with in life. What does it mean to have what's going on the inside and have that lived out honestly on the outside when other people are uncomfortable with it? Not that you're uncomfortable with it, but that other people are uncomfortable with it. So that's kind of a struggle.
Get ready to go to bed, and I'll be up soon to tuck you in.
My life cycle and life's journey has led me to be in a partnered, committed relationship with a woman. And I like the difference, the dynamics of our relationship. Many people ask the question, you're a bisexual man, but you're married. What I then begin to talk about is my loving experience has been with both men and women. And I don't want to devalue that. How in the world can anybody have monogamy? If I am questioned, everybody has to be questioned. I think it is about commitment and choice. And that's what I wanted. I want people to talk about their instincts, what comes to them from the gut. Mm-hmm. And let's process that. And I bet you we might find God in the midst of it. I want to, in some way, keep calling people to be more aware of what's real. As I read the Gospels, and as I understand Jesus kind of lived transparent. You know, what was that relationship with John, the beloved? What was that relationship with Mary Magdalene? What was that relationship about? We don't know. I want to, keep bringing that awareness into the room, into the relationship, into ministry. The challenges that I face as I began a new ministry here in the city of Hartford are a number. Can I bring into the room sexuality and sexualities? Can I bring into the room Christianities, the different versions of Christianity that exist in the world through time and in our contemporary context?
As God moves you, then you'll be held to your own. You'll be accountable to yourself first.
And can that happen here in Hartford? Can we have this kind of radically inclusive, progressive, political, social activist, social justice-oriented ministry led by a bisexual black man with a spouse and 2 kids? We've made the right statements. We've said the right words. Now can we actualize it? Can we live into those words? Can we live into those statements?
What they're really talking about when they talk about lifestyle, they're talking about sex and what it looks like and feels like and smells like, and that's really what they're trying to get their mind around. They're not trying to get their mind around, how does a bisexual make an omelet? I came out at seminary in the pulpit. When I said the word, I am a bisexual male. Did I hear that? Did I hear that right? Did he just say what I think he said? And so quickly the word spread around Bright Divinity School. It's a small campus. We're only 300 students. A few people came up to me and said, this is an issue that I'm really struggling with. I haven't decided, yay or nay, how I really feel. I'm praying about it. I'm studying about it. Knowing you helps me with this in some way. And that was very positive, and that really meant a lot to me.
It wasn't until a year ago that he and I had a conversation where he actually told me. And he told me alone. I think we have kind of a special bond.
I don't think I could have come out in the way that I did, and with as much ease as I did, if it hadn't been for Steve Sprinkle. He is a great friend, a great mentor, a wonderful scholar.
I think that Daryl's bisexuality is a true gift of God. If we can see a contextualized gospel in the life of a real person, then we might be able to believe it. And we might even find the imagination to reinterpret those scriptures that some have used to clobber gays, bisexuals, and lesbians.
I am currently doing an independent study with Dr. Sprinkle. We are developing a class for the spring semester which is called Ministry in the Gay, Lesbian, Bisexual Community.
I want to be able to
Gay, lesbian, bisexual people are constituents in congregations, and they have special concerns and needs that are different from straight people. For the straight minister, this class, first of all, wants to tell them, you never had to come out as a straight person. And so you need to know that that is a unique and scary proposition for a lot of people, especially teenagers, who commit suicide at horrible rates because they're so frightened of having to come out to their parents or at school. And that's what this class is trying to do. The Church and Ministry Committee of the North Texas Association of the United Church of Christ is meeting this morning. It's my last interview with them before I go on to the big interview with the Ecclesiastical Council. The chance of them asking about my orientation is pretty likely, and I'm going to be honest and blunt and tactful and tell them, you have to take me as I am, and it's an all or nothing thing for me. After I graduated from college, I was looking to go and move on with my education. I didn't know what to do, and so I went to go talk to my mom. And she said, you know what, we're gonna go to church on Sunday, and we're gonna see what that does. So we went to this church. We had communion that day. The words of love and inclusion that were incorporated into the table was just so new and refreshing and for me, and I'd never heard anything like it. 1 month later, I joined that church, and 2 months later, I was sending off applications to divinity schools and seminaries, and here I am 4.5 years later, and I'm about to be ordained. So it went well. It went really well. So November 3rd is my ecclesiastical council, and if I make it through that, then I'm ordained, and that's the goal. So I'm really happy, I'm really excited, I'm relieved, but I'm ready to move on to the next step.
Darrell really is a pioneer in all of this. He's making a new place of normalcy for himself and for others who are bisexual in the church and have that vocation. I
have the God-given and blessed ability to love across a spectrum of people, and this gives me such a different perspective than other ministers. It's Sunday morning, and we're in Big Sandy, Texas, which is a little town about an hour east of Dallas. And we're here at the Christian Church of Big Sandy, and I'm guest preaching this morning for a congregation of about 7. But you know what they say, wherever 2 or more are gathered, that's where Christ is, and we're going to worship God this morning. We're going to get us some religion, as they say here in Texas. So come join us.
We always knew that Darrell would at some point do something with
people.
During supper, Jesus got up from the table, took off his outer robe, placed a towel around his neck, poured water into a basin, and began to wash the disciples' feet.
When he was in grade school, he would come home and he would be starving after school. Darrell, did you not eat your lunch? Mom, Jimmy didn't have a lunch. I gave him my lunch.
My own personal mission in ministry is to help people realize that there is no separation between them and God. That you're as close to God at this very moment that you'll ever be, and that moment will live on forever.
And there will always be those who wonder whether the leadership Darrell offers the church will not be affected negatively in some way by his sexual orientation.
Some people believe that on Monday I'm at a bar and I'm picking up a girl, and on Tuesday I'm at a gay club and I'm picking up a guy, maybe 2. The reality, in terms of my own experience, I have as hard a time with dating as any other person who's, 25, 26 years old and wants to, find, someone. I'm a huge romantic. I'm just a big, gushy romantic. The understanding of choosing, that for somehow that a bisexual can choose between, a male or a female, I think that's wrong. The choice is, are you going to open yourself up to be happy in a relationship with either a male or a female? Or are you going to let society and the church and other people decide for you? That's the choice. Are you going to choose for yourself that this is really who you are? This is really who God created you to be? Are you going to deny that?